Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Bridget Lepore and I am your instructor for our course. Before we get started, I just want to say welcome. I'm really excited that you're here, and we're going to have a lot of work and do a lot of soul searching and thinking about our future. I know that you're up for this. I can't think of a better time to do it than today. Okay, so are you ready to work? All right, we've got a lot ahead of us. So I thought I would get us started with a little video just to get you started. And if we were in a classroom, I would ask you to introduce yourself, tell us your name of college, and one new thing that you've learned about yourself. Now, since we're going to be online, I'm going to ask that you go to the discussion forum, that you look for our discussion for week 1, and that you follow the instructions there. Okay? When we're going to post online, I'd like a substantial post. Not a couple of words, not a few things, but really I want you to sit down, think about what you want to share, and then put it into words, read it over again, and then submit it. A good rule of thumb is you're going to need at least 250 to 300 words to answer a basic discussion post. If you don't, you're going to run out of room, or you're going to find yourself talking at a surface level. And frankly, we're not here to talk at the surface level. We're here to dig in deep, okay, and learn about ourselves and about other people. So to get you started, my name is Bridget Lepore. I hold a doctorate in education. I'm actually a Rutgers alum. If I was going to say year in college, I don't even want to count because it's been a long, long time. I've been teaching in higher education on and off for probably 20 years now. So one new thing I've learned about myself since starting college, well, I don't want to go back that long. But I'll tell you one thing I learned this year is how much I value talking to other people. When we take that for granted, and sometimes, well, you know, when we're online like this, we realize how much or how important and how much we learn from other people. So that's one new thing I've learned since the spring. So one of the things I want you to start thinking about is how we're going to put all of this together. You might have come into college with the idea that there's a puzzle. I have all the pieces to my class. Every instructor has the pieces to theirs. We assemble them as per the pattern, and we are good. But that's really not how college is. And it wasn't like this before, and it's certainly not like this now. So think about it as if we dropped 10 puzzles on the floor, and you had to make a decision of what your career and your future are going to look like. It's a complicated process, and one that takes a lot of trial, error, and thinking. One thing to remember is the puzzle changes as you work through it, and you change as well. I'm not who I was 5 years ago. You're not who you were 5 years ago. And I can't wait to see who both of us are in 10 years. Maybe 10 years from now, we'll be able to meet on campus and have coffee. Hopefully a lot earlier than that. So how did I get here? This is actually a picture of me from high school. This is my high school senior picture. It gives you some clues about the time period that I went to school. You can see the hair. And I like this picture. I put this one up there partly because I couldn't find one to take a picture of, but also because I took this at a career fair. So I was asked to speak at a career fair at my high school, and when I walked in, I was absolutely shocked to see this picture. Somehow it never crossed my mind that they would ever look for my senior yearbook picture, let alone have it, but they did. So this is me when I was graduating high school. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I thought I wanted to be an artist. My parents weren't terribly thrilled. There's a whole big story in there. Needless to say, I ended up going to college, not art school, and I ended up finding out that it wasn't for me. I love art. I'm pretty good at it, but it wasn't the right field for me. It didn't fit, and I remember sitting there one night, 3 a.m., while people around me discussed the color blue. Literally, the color blue. I'm like, pick a blue. They'll all work. They weren't my people, and it wasn't my place. That wasn't how I wanted to spend my work, life. And I ended up transferring over to management and marketing science, which probably seems like a huge switch. Along the way, I ended up picking up a minor in training and development, and that's actually what I did for many, many years. So in addition to being a college professor, I'm also a learning or a developer or instructional designer. So, I have these different facets to my career, and if I diagram this out, it looks like a kind of crazy map. I keep trying to do it, but again, it gets a little messy. So, one of the things about pursuing a degree in the arts and sciences is that it gives you flexible job paths. As you know from my story, I started in art, I ended up in business, I ended up in education. By the way, I went on for a master's in adult learning, and I have a doctorate in teaching and learning. So the thing about it is the degrees I have enabled my career to be really flexible, because what I have found is I keep coming back to the idea of technology. Okay? So I started off training technology, I was teaching technology, and I keep winding back into that. That's actually what I'm doing in learning design too. So the flexibility that comes with a degree in the arts and sciences is really valuable because it doesn't lock you in. It's adaptable. So one of the myths about the liberal arts, and the liberal arts, by the way, is this idea that we come to college to become, I want to say like whole people. We come to become engaged citizens who know a lot about life. And that means that we take courses in history and writing and communications, in psychology. We learn broadly as opposed to just narrowly. If you wanted to learn narrowly, you'd go into a technical program where all you did, for instance, is code all day. It would make you really good at code, but it wouldn't make you adaptable. So arts and science majors do get good jobs. And we hear all the time about students who didn't get a job in their major. And the major misconception in that is that you're going to school for a job. You're not. You're going to school, sorry about the dog barking. You're going to school so that you can learn a broad set of knowledge and skills and values that are going to allow you to adapt to the world. And I've had to. I mean, remember, art to business, to training, to technology, to college. So one of the things I want you to do is think about what's influenced your career story so far. My career story started with that picture that you just saw of me in high school. And I want you to start thinking through who has influenced you, what has influenced you. And I'm going to tell you, COVID-19 has probably influenced all of us and probably has kept us up at night. We'll talk about that during the course. Okay, we can't ignore that the world has drastically changed in the last 6 months. So as we get started, one of the things you might want to do now is pause and start to reflect. I want you to think about your first memories of your career. At what point did you think about a career? I mean, my daughter decided no joke, at 6 or 7 years old, she wanted to be a scientist. She came home one day from school, I'm going to be a scientist. Okay. That's her first memory. And she's now 10, and she'll tell you she has a microscope, and she studies things, and she knows the scientific method, and even things like we get a new thermometer in the house because, COVID-19, and she'll sit there and test it and compare it to make sure that it's accurate. We just got a new one, and she realized it is 2 degrees lower than it should be. So this is starting early, and I don't know where it's going to go for her for middle school, but it's going to change until she gets to college. So I want you to pause for a minute and write, what did you want to be when you grew up? Think about your first memory. Did you want to be a teacher? You probably wanted to be something that you saw around you. When did that start to change? Did it start to change? And how do you feel about it now? So pause, take a moment, and come back. All right, you're back. So did you think about it? I mean, I'm trying to remember what I wanted to be as a child. Probably a teacher. Okay? But I have, it could be anything. Actually, you know what I wanted to be? I wanted to study dinosaurs. That I remember, now that I'm thinking about it. I own every dinosaur book you possibly could. All right, moving on, before I talk about loving dinosaurs and loving dragons. When you see my office, you'll see dragons in them. Okay, let's talk about some of the skills we need. So, One of the things I want you to think about is active listening. So active listening is a way that you listen to learn from others. Active listening is not listening to answer. It is listening to think. Active listening is really important. We make eye contact, we lean in, we really pay attention and ask questions for clarity, and it builds trust in relationships. And we'll get to that, but relationship building is a huge part of career management. We apply this in so many ways. For instance, in talking to people on our teams, talking to customers. Anytime you work with others, you're going to need active listening. And it helps in classes too, even online, or maybe even more so online. So some things that you can do with this is you nod your head. You basically confer, basic confirmations. Things like, yeah. You paraphrase. You say, I hear that you are saying, right? You ask questions and you summarize back. So what I heard you say today is this. To make sure that you are honestly and correctly reading the person you're working with. So think about this. Try it out tonight with somebody. All right, so here's just something that you can try tonight, right? Listen to somebody, ask them how their day was. Whether you're on FaceTime or in person, whatever works. Ask them about their day and listen to themselves and ask them to elaborate. Well, then what happened? Or why did that happen? How did you feel? What did you think? What did you do? Give people openings. So active listening is really a helpful thing. All right, so lesson, let's just go over some things for our course. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to go into lesson 1 and work through the lesson itself. Okay? I want you to start paying attention to some of the lessons we're going to learn from alumni who volunteer their time. Here's one, for instance, who gives their advice. Okay? Here are some others. One of the things you're going to do is read some alumni stories. Okay? And I'll post this up so you can read more. One of the activities that you're going to do is you're going to map an alumni story as if it's a map. You're going to look at the career journey model and you're going to fill out, okay, what their story looked like. Okay? So some other things just to cover really quick since we're just getting to know each other. The class is for you if you're just starting to get started in your career, or you have some ideas, or you're ready to launch. Honestly, I think it's helpful if you've already launched. You're going to do work for the class, and they are also useful outside of our course. It's not just about being in the class. There's some information on screen about grading. We always worry about grades, but this course is really about making sure you know how to do it. Now here it's telling a Canvas tour. I know you've used it before. I'm going to ask for that in your intro. So I don't want to bore you too much, but I'll always put another video if we need it. Some things about due dates. I'm going to change the screen. Ignore it. Some tips for success. Make sure you're paying attention to time management. Be professional. And keep on doing this. We are going to be successful. We can't afford to give up. This is our careers at stake. This is our future. And so with that, I'm going to end the video, and I'll see you on the discussion boards. Bye, everybody.